All right, guys, welcome to another show of Man Reacts. I'm here with Daniel again. Back on that scary movie vibe. We're going to go over some of our favorite movies that were actually inspired by real events. And I think the first one to kick us off here, Dan, is this your favorite one on the list?
Oh yeah, hands down.
Yeah.
Like the real life variation, the similarities. Not my favorite movie on the list,
The
but
favorite story.
yes, hands down.
Yeah. So this movie is The Town That Dreaded Sundown. And let's look at some. Sorry about that. We're on the wrong ones.
Ooh.
So, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. The original film follows a Texas Ranger as he tracks down a serial killer threatening a small town. And the 2014 sequel, in the same name, essentially receives the same plot. Both are based on a Texarkana moonlight murders of 1946 when a phantom killer took out 5 people over 10 weeks. The case remains officially unsolved.
It is creepy as fuck.
And we know that this event not only inspired The Town That Dreaded Sundown, but the character in Town That Dreaded Sundown inspired Jason Voorhees.
So many different things, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he inspired Jason Voorhees.
The original curation of Jason Voorhees.
Like I told Lowry, this movie is actually the reason why the hockey mask in Friday the 13th series is adapted. Part 2 came out. Part 1 was the mother.
This is interesting, yeah.
Part 2 was obviously the first movie of Jason in it, actually, himself. And you notice he didn't have the hockey mask. He had a burlap sack. And when it came out, the surviving families of this event, of the Moonlight Murders, basically would like threaten to fucking sue New Line Cinema if they was like, that looks exactly like what the murderer of our family wore. It's got to go. So the hockey mask came to 3.
Yeah, the family more or less comes to the courts and says, look, this is really bringing up some trauma, not only for my family, but for the town. It's possibly going to... They were scared that it was going to incite more struggle, more violence in the town of Texarkana. Because, I mean, you got to think, it's 1946, right?
Yeah.
It's 1946. The World War II is just getting done with. People are wanting to get back to normal. People they think they're getting their lives back.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, some no-name town on the border of Texas and Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken, it's
yeah. That's why it's called
on
Texarkana.
the line, Texarkana.
Yeah.
But Daniel even told me every year there's a local drive-in that plays this movie, which to me is wild.
It's fucked. It's crazy because the families, the same families of these families, what the fuck was that meaning? But the survivors' families are the reason why we have the most iconic costume for Jason, but they still couldn't get the 1976 film taken down. And if you watch the 1976 original, and if you compared like real life crime scene notes from the murders, they're fucking identical. Like, they just put the shit on the film.
Yeah.
And of course, that caused major trauma because it came out in 76. 46 was murders, so you're looking at 30 years. Okay.
And if you want idea, if you haven't seen the original Jason movies, and you have seen the new Netflix's 1978. That's more or less the character.
Yeah, that's where they took it from.
A guy in a burlap sack. And back to that image here. I mean, that's what you're looking at. Even the iconic rope around the neck. We've even seen that. What's the character from... I can't remember the character's name, but there's a character in The Watchmen who looks almost identical to this guy.
In the show? Or the movie?
The Watchmen, the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's like
he's a leader of the... It's the leader of the new...
He's an old-time character, I think.
Yeah, but he's the leader of the new something Federation Army or something like that. It's what they're called. It's a terrorist group. There's a Watchmen series, actually, too, on HBO
No,
Max.
but I'm talking about in the movie.
Yeah, in the movie, I can't remember the guy's name.
Big rope around his neck.
It's... shit. I can't remember his name. He looks just like him.
Yeah, either way, I think the point we're getting at is this real story, this real life terror has inspired so much art and cinema.
It's crazy.
I mean, this legend lives on through so many things. And again, I'm not trying to romanticize the killings in any way, but you can't ignore that happened. And the people of Texarkana don't try to ignore that it happened.
They don't, and it's crazy because
every year. To me, like, that's just like
mind blowing because
another nail in the coffin.
Imagine it's 1946. Okay, we don't have shit like we got now. Everybody gets that. You're 17. Back then, you want to go make out. It's like that nowadays. You're a teenager. You go off somewhere private. Imagine someone in your town is killing people for doing that. And that's what happened.
To put this in some kind of context. So the Zodiac Killer was about a decade later.
Like a decade and a half.
But a decade and a half later.
Yeah.
Now, what was the Zodiac famous for was killing young people at like lovers' lanes, make-out lanes type deal.
Connection.
Well, the Texarkana murders was really
spot on.
The same thing.
Spot on. Even
there's even a chance that the Zodiac Killer was copycat killing from the Texarkana murders. Well, there's even a chance
same dude
that it's the same person.
Because I don't think I told you just earlier when we discussed it, our idea for tonight.
Again, the Texarkana murders, the Moonlight murderer was never caught.
And neither was Zodiac.
Neither was the Zodiac.
Zodiac Killer, hood, black cross thing, but a rope. But the dude that they have narrowed it down after all these years, what they think was the killer, was like a 19-year-old dude out of the army from being drafted. So he could be both. The age fits. Like he could have did these, and then the 70s hit the Zodiac killings.
Which I love the movie Zodiac.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
But we're more so doing movies that are not so directly based about real events.
Yeah, like because the original was based. Almost that off, but the remake is fucked up because it's based off what Lowry's talking about. Is every Halloween there's a drive-in that does the movie showing of it for Halloween, and the reason why is because that drive-in is the same area where 3 of the killings happened in '46.
The same plot of land.
Same plot of land, like feet from actual spots, and then the remake is actually about the curse of the killer. And that's like a thing, local legend, folklore in that town, is that killer spirit, or if he's still not alive, is punishing the town. Like, church is huge there now. Still to this day. Like, they're all prim and proper. It literally almost turned this town to like a Mormon town.
I bet there ain't a person that don't donate $1.
Yeah, no shit. But it is crazy. That's just Google it and do the research. So the story of this one, it's crazy.
It's pretty wild. It is the baseline for a lot of horror stories you see here today. And let's move on to this next one.
Oh,
this one's interesting, but I don't want to go too far into it because there's some skepticism to it.
Yeah.
But I will read this one to you. Wes Craven's cult classic and its remake centers around a traveling family whose car breaks down, leaving them stranded in the clutches of cannibals. The movie was inspired by Sonny Bean, a Scottish man who, according to the legend, led his clan to kill and eat 1,000 people around the year 1600. However, a Scottish historian told the BBC in 2013, though, that the legend was a fiction created by prejudiced Englishmen as a dig at the Scots. Now, I don't know how much of this you can really cite as real, just because the lack of supporting evidence.
And it was like 500 years ago. So.
Right, and it was more or less word of mouth.
Yeah.
You're listening to what someone else said through someone else.
But it is possible.
So, yeah, but let's not ignore the fact that we know that cannibals have existed. And some of them were probably Scottish.
And,
so,
yeah.
I mean, let's just be real.
Well, let's be honest. What are the ideas that cannibalism is more prevalent? Scotland 1600 or Scotland 2021? Like, them motherfuckers are eating people. Like, cause
no, like
ramen noodles, human leg.